Lingering tubside, the backs of my eyelids fluttered prayers for something strong and demanding to saturate this fire. Bearing the discomfort from the blazing temperatures, I would step in the water and seek renewal. An everyday baptism as I cleansed what lay deeper than I could see. These times were the beginning where I laid down my foundations of spirituality, self-care, venturing into the unknown and trusting something intangible. It started in my body, and it started with the water. What's up, everyone? This is Maya Siobhan coming to you with another video. So welcome to my channel, and go ahead and hit the subscribe button because this month, the month of May, I will be hitting the ground running. I'll be releasing 2 to 3 videos a week. I'm just really prepared to really start sharing. I know I've been really actually trying to start a YouTube channel for a while, but for many reasons, the stars have just aligned at this moment. This video today is going to be talking about my experience living with a chronic pain condition. I will be telling a bit of my story, just a bit of it, interlaced with some tips and advice for anyone who may also suffer from any kind of chronic pain condition, you know, be that fibromyalgia or MS or just there's all kinds of things. It's like an umbrella. Any autoimmune diseases, anything like that, anything that we like to describe as invisible illness. And for anyone maybe who knows someone who experienced that, or maybe you have a family member, or maybe you're just interested and happen to be hopping in on my video. So thank you all no matter what. When I was 7 years old, that was the beginning of me experiencing my particular relationship with chronic pain. I was at a football game with my father because he was the band director of a local high school. A high school which I graduated from. I was also in the band there. I was a little girl, a little majorette as they would call it, and I would have my little uniform on, and I would twirl my baton. But then all of a sudden, this burning pain comes and just infiltrates my right leg basically, and I didn't know how to explain it or what to do with it. It just happened. And I was just like, ow. It wasn't like my leg was red or swollen. There was nothing to indicate it except for the fact that I could feel it. So of course I kind of just tried to play and twirl my baton and all that stuff, but then eventually I was like, let me go tell my dad. And of course I go up there and I go to my dad. He's in the stands, in the bleachers, directing high school students, and I'm trying to tell him, okay baby, okay, you know how you do with your parents when it's like your kids are just running their mouth, I'm sure he just probably thought it was that kind of thing, like, oh, I'm just, okay Maya, go play. I was like, all right, so I went and played. I thought that maybe it was just something weird happening and then it'll go away, but it turned out that it never did. It actually only continued to develop, and it only started to become more and more of a very prominent thing in my life. So it happened from there on out. It happened, all the time growing up through school, and I would always talk about it, and we would go to the doctors and they would say, oh, she's going through growing pains. And I'm like, am I going to be a giant? Because this hurts, the only way I could describe it, even to this day, I still have a difficult time describing it, but it feels like I'm like burning, like as if the inside of my body is on fire, like the inside of my legs, the inside of my arms, my back, my head. It's like a burning, penetrative force that is like unnerving, and it's like sharp and dull at the same time. It's very difficult to explain. So imagine me trying to tell doctors this my whole entire life. Oh, it's growing pains, etc. I remember at one point, in high school, I think it was like I was 15 or 16, and tried again with my father, and I heard the doctor off to the side. It's probably psychological. It's probably all in her head, and that definitely crushed me. And I believe that was when I really officially, it had already been on the way, but I believe that's when I really officially decided, hey, I'm going to cover myself up. I'm not going to talk about this with anybody. I'm I'm gonna, I'm just basically, I'm not gonna try to get any more help anymore because I can't be helped. And I believe from there is when I really started to develop some rather destructive mental habits that were all out of coping. It was all out of survival. It was all out of me trying to figure out what I can do to live with something that is so real, but I feel like it's barely being acknowledged. Like I said, my father and everything would try to take me to the doctor and everything, but it was like they weren't getting any answers. So, he just didn't know. He didn't know what to do. He had no clue. But meanwhile, it's getting worse as I get older. Like I say, it started that football game night at 7 years old, and it was just in my right leg, and for a while it just was. But then got a little older, moved to the left, got a little older, went into my arms, got a little older, started going up and down my back. Got a little older, I started to develop optical migraines. I would get migraines like clockwork every day around 5 p.m. Where I would lose my vision. And that was always just super scary because I'm like, whoa, am I going blind? Which obviously blind people thrive in the society, but if you're a person who's not blind, it's a traumatic thing to experience that potentially being your reality. I'm gonna jump into my first tip, something that I've had to learn, acquire, embrace, and integrate into my life due to living with the chronic pain condition, and that's to be selfish. I know being selfish doesn't sound like I guess the most positive thing. I think the word selfish tends to have a bit of a negative connotation to it. The association usually seems to be someone that's inconsiderate or don't care about nobody else or anything, but I don't think so. I think it's important to know how to be neutral with something and then just understand maybe the different polarities of it. I think being selfish is a very important thing because number one, you can't do a thing for anyone else or for anybody else, or you can't do it effectively rather, if you have not really done for yourself, if you have not taken care of yourself. This was a major issue for me because this mysterious condition I was having with no diagnosis, because people didn't really understand it. So, no one went too deep with it. No one asked me too many questions about it. It was kind of like I don't really know what to say type of thing. I began to interpret that in my life as, well, if no one else sees it, then I'm going to try to turn a blind eye to it as well, which was literally impossible because I was feeling it every day. But I would put all of my efforts into basically pleasing other people. I try to do everything I can for my father. I try to do everything I can for my friends. Anywhere I went, I continue to constantly put myself last everywhere because I literally felt like I didn't matter. That's how it began to become interpreted through my mind. It started off with this physical pain thing, but that started to burrow itself deep into my psyche, and eventually I just neglected myself. So being selfish was something I had to learn, and it's even to this day. I've come a long way. I've learned how to say no when I need to say no. I've learned how to do this if I need to do this and not that just because somebody wants me to do that or because that's what other people are doing. You have to be selfish. I think about like my food. I've had to, because you may wonder, how am I doing? I'm definitely doing a whole lot better. The last 5 or so years have been a major healing transformation, which I will talk a lot about, so stay tuned. But I've had to change my diet, my lifestyle. I've had to learn how to think different ways. I've had to study many books. It's been a multi-dimensional transformation in order to bring myself into a place of balance with dealing with this condition. But yeah, with food, I'll find myself because someone else think that, you know how people are, let's say if they're not vegetarian or vegan or something of that nature, whatever one you want to go with, oh, oh, you eat like that, you da. It's like a thing. It's like you get kind of like chastised and taunted just because you literally just want to feed yourself good food. You've learned these things affect you this way, negatively in these ways. You could develop these types of diseases, and you don't want that. So you change your dietary habits. And I did that for myself because I didn't realize until about college that, okay, maybe some of the things I'm eating are contributing and influencing greatly this immense amount of pain that I'm going through on the daily. And I was vegan for a good couple of half years, but then like it was just something so deep. I had to get stronger here. I had to get stronger here. It was something so deep about people just like not agreeing with it, or everybody's eating this, or someone's offering me something, and I don't want to turn them down. I don't want to feel bad, that I will neglect my clear need, which is to eat healthy whole foods, things that don't really have that much animal product in them. I would neglect that for the sake of someone else's like feelings, and that's just something I had to really learn. That's detrimental. It's not healthy, and you gotta do better, Maya. Okay, you gotta do better. If I go into number 2, that'll be compassionate. You feel like people should care. Your family should care. My family was a huge one for me. It's taken me even still up to now to really be able to experience a full sense of forgiveness and understanding and compassion and empathy for them, because mainly I had to leave college. I went to Howard University in DC, which I loved being in DC. I loved it so much, but I ended up having to leave because that's when I reached the height of this condition. I had learned how to tolerate it all growing up, and I was very active, marching band, step team, everything. I was always doing something. But that was all it was kind of like an escape. In some sense, I kept myself moving. I kept my body doing something because I was just always in so much pain. I just tried to ignore it. And I just practiced keeping a smile all the time. You probably ask anybody, they'll say Maya smiles all the time. No one knew that was really, it was genuine because I'm very positive and optimistic, and I was fighting through it, but it was also a mask. And so, like I said, when I did have to leave school, I just did not feel that support from my family. It was so tough because, my dad had just gotten remarried, and his wife wasn't very much, she didn't agree with like helping your kids after school and stuff like that. And so, he was kind of in that conflict with her. And yeah, it was actually my father who advised me to come back. And, okay, well, let's come back and let's see what we could do about your condition. And I really explained to him, you think I want to just leave college and leave this beautiful new city? DC was like everything for me. It was so different from living in Orlando. I could get everywhere on bus, train. There was always something going on, I felt like I could like be myself and be unique and wear what I want to wear, It was a decision that I had to make deep in my soul, that maybe I needed to come home, and then I fought myself about that. I was like, if I was just gonna have to, if I was gonna have to just deal with this anyway and suffer like this, maybe I should just suffer it up there, because blah. But anyway, yeah, I came home and I just felt like, dang, no one has checked on me, no one's even asking me. Matter of fact, all I'm hearing is gossip, oh, she doing this, and everybody's big thing was because that's with my best friend quite often. And and they just they were all fixated on whether or not we were romantically involved, and that was like literally all I'm hearing is that, oh, she's not in school no more. But I'm not hearing, well, how is she doing? How can we get some healing going on? What are there some alternative methods we can be looking into? She's sick. No, everybody just wants to gossip. But that's where the compassion comes in. You deal with a chronic pain condition, you have to be prepared to accept the fact that many people won't understand. Many people can't understand. They're not experiencing it. Many people might not understand to the point where maybe they don't believe you or something. Nonetheless, you have to go back to number 1, which is learn to be selfish. It's a balance. You could be selfish, but you can have that compassion. It's not being negatively selfish. It's not being bitter. It's being caring. I had to really develop that because that was holding me back more than I cared to admit. I didn't even, it was like it was a contradiction. It was hard for me to actually move forward in my healing because I was so upset and burdened by the fact that I didn't feel like I had a support system. But really, we do have our physical support systems with people and family and friends and everything, but when you get tuned into that true inner support system, oh my God, that's rich. That's amazing. That's rich. You have to tap into yourself. Because I always was able to. It was just I resisted it a bit because I was really looking for it from my family. But when I released that and I surrendered to it and I just was able to feel it from within, I was really able to experience much more expansion, much more love. We're gonna hop into number 3. Look for a deeper meaning. There's a great need to take responsibility for yourself. And when you're able to do that, you're able to access certain parts of yourself that are always there, have always been there, but they've just been locked away. Because we do a lot to protect ourselves. We do a lot to keep our shields and guards up and to cope in the manners that we are able to. Ultimately, I feel like if you can maybe think about it, why are you experiencing this? Why has this been your journey? I don't believe that we're just experiencing things just to suffer, but it's up to us to figure out that why. Extract the gems within that very, very hard or tough situation. It's up to us, but I know from my experience, from listening to other people's experience, from just observing and embracing this world we live in, that there's always a deeper meaning. There's always something there. We really have to be willing. You have to be willing to want to see it. You have to be willing to want to discover it and to explore it. And you have to be willing to allow that to transform you. You got to figure out, why is your journey your journey? And instead of hiding from it or hating it or wishing it away, maybe just look at it and see what it really is. Number 4, I would say, learn different techniques. As I was talking about earlier, I had to change my dietary habits. At first, I was fixated on basically trying to get a medical diagnosis. I mean, that's all I really knew. That was all that was taught to me. I didn't really grow up knowing so much alternative medicines or healings or herbs or meditation or anything of that nature. Pretty much average Black American family. We got cookouts. Or Christian, it's, the same customs, that are very much in place, that are still very active today, and it's still cultural. And I love it for what it is, but I didn't know that there were other things I could be doing. Now, granted, there was a lot of instinctual urges that I had within me. When I was younger, I would always go sit out in the middle of like trees and stuff like that, and I would just breathe, so that is meditation. So in a sense, somewhere deep down, I did know. One of my main healing places have been the bathtub, which is why I introduced this video with that short little film that I created to, give you a little idea, a little peek into what many of my days actually look like when I'm dealing with that kind of pain. I'll run hot water, and I'll just submerge myself in it, and I can always feel like an instant relief, and from there I'll go into what I understand now is a meditation. And I feel like that's when I really connect with what you may call God or your higher self or your ancestors, or just something very, very powerful, very real, and that exists deep within us. Be willing to learn, to never give up on yourself enough to learn, to keep learning new things, to keep figuring out what you need to do for you. And don't place that in nobody else's hands. It's nobody else's responsibility for you, which leads me to our next tip, number 5. You're not the victim. It's very easy when you live with an invisible illness to feel like you're the victim, because first of all, why is this happening? I did not ask for this. I was, a lot of people have all kind of different stories. Some people develop things after actual events, like after I had my child or after I had this accident. Some people like get in car accidents and now they have like a infinite back pain or something like that from a slipped disc, or it's all kind of different scenarios when you're dealing with any kind of chronic pain. For me, it just literally came, it's seemingly out of nowhere, at a young age of 7 years old, and I was having a rather good day too that day. It wasn't even like I had fallen or anything of that nature. It's really important to not be the victim, because when you victimize yourself, you leave yourself no room, no ability, and no chance to actually heal yourself, to actually unburden yourself. You just leave yourself no room for change because you become fixated and complacent on the position you have, which is, this is happening to me, to me, to me, to me. I know it's hard to think of it because it's pain, but perhaps it's happening for you. Or perhaps it's just happening. And there's no need to victimize yourself or to point any finger at anybody or anything else either. It's just a matter of you looking at your situation, first of all, embracing it. I've had to do that. I've had to be like, you know what, Maya? I'm going to stop acting like it's not true. I'm going to stop being invisible. This is it. I have a chronic pain condition, so these are the things that I may need to do with my day. Some people can just wake up and do this or whatever. Nope, I need to have me a certain kind of routine in the morning, because that routine will set me up for a lot more flow, will set me up for a lot more mental stability. It will keep me focused and aligned. And that's up to me to take that responsibility for myself. Our very last tip: what feeds your soul? Find what feeds your soul. This is a super important one because you're gonna need something that encourages you, something that demands you keep pushing. For me, it's definitely music. It's definitely motivation and inspiration. I love to inspire. It's just so thrilling to me to see somebody in one state of mind go to another. All these cages and locks and then all of a sudden you're over here like a flower, like a butterfly. To me, I am so passionate about that. It's the most amazing thing for me. I love transformation. And even though I struggle with my own, I still sometimes look in the mirror and be like, whoa, Maya, you were extremely close to suicide on several occasions. And I secretly tried it on many occasions. But here I am. For me, music. People, when I was younger, oh, she always singing. People always say that, you sing all the time. People didn't know I was singing through and to the pain in some sense. That's why every day it was just my instinctual idea of healing. Like I say, going to sit in those trees, going to take those hot baths, singing. It was just something about the way the melodies would flow through me that somehow it just seems like it would move that pain a little bit. It would maneuver it. It would start to change it. Alchemize it. You gotta find what feeds your soul, and be that whatever. Is it children? Is it film? Is it drawing? Whatever. We're all very unique beings. I'm just throwing something out there, but whatever it is for you, find that. And then find a way on how to really incorporate that into your life and add that into your routines and add that into your priorities. You have time for whatever you create the time for. And that's true on any circumstance. I know everyone has different circumstances. Some people got 6 kids. The way this world's set up, I believe you have time for whatever you make time for. Everyone's situation is unique, so you may have to figure out how you fit it, but it can fit. Find what feeds your soul. There's just a few things I wanted to go ahead and drop down today as I go ahead and launch this channel for real. As of right now, I'm feeling pretty good. It's been a good day. I'm not feeling too tough, and I know a lot of people don't really know this about me, so I thought I would go ahead and share it because It's a lot of people out there who experience this as well. So this channel is definitely not just focused solely on my chronic pain per se, but more so all the methods that I have embraced and utilized that has led me to still, lead a kicking ass life, and that comes through creativity. That comes through creativity between my music, between adventure and being a wanderlust and helping people and writing my book and all of these things. They're vehicles, they're methods, and it's up to you to figure out how it is you're gonna transform your life. If you guys like this video, or if you want to see more, if you want to stay tuned, because like I say, I do have especially a lot of cool things coming up for the summertime, go ahead and subscribe. You can also go ahead and head to my website in the description box down there, so you can check out some of my blogs that I've recently posted, and signed up for my email newsletter, because I will be sending out some things a couple times of the month. Stories, tips, inspiration, things of that nature. So thank you all for watching. I appreciate you. This has been Maya Siobhan. Thanks for being on my channel, and I'll see you next time.